Y'all, it's your girl Ashley, and you're listening to Sex with Ashley podcast, where we talk about pleasure, sex, relationships, and how to feel confident in your body without the shame. If you're ready for real talk with real tools, you're in the right place. Now let's get into it. All right. So, welcome to a new episode of Sex with Ashley. So, today we are talking about dating and specifically dating after leaving purity culture. So, a lot of people know, maybe not, or don't know that I used to be in a purity cult. That's what I say. So, I grew up very much in the church. And so, this is a topic that is very near and dear and very relatable to me. And so, to discuss that, we have Mr. Mike Speaks. That is his name on Instagram, aka Mr. Mike Smoke. So, Mike, so people who don't know you, tell us who you are and what you do.
Awesome. Thank you for inviting me. So my name is Mike Speaks on Instagram. I'm a relationship strategist. I enjoy all things relationships and strategy, and I help people navigate their love life. This is also a topic that I know a little bit too well too, Ash. I came from the same cloth of purity cult culture, whatever we want to call it, all of the above. So this should be fun.
So let's talk about like back in the day, right? Let's go back, I don't know, 15, 20 years.
Yep.
And so, back in purity culture has a right way of dating, what that looks like. Yeah. So what did dating the right way look to you back then?
Oh, man. So in that culture, it was never anything isolated. So that was number one. They always encouraged having a third party, being in public, not doing anything too intimate. I mean, movies, we didn't do that. Really, we dated at the church. Like, I meet you at Bible study. We gonna hang around after church on Sunday, and obviously no sex, no kissing, no. So they look down on all the actual human sides of connecting, right? And so it was very difficult.
And so what moment or season in your life did you realize, this ain't working, or this is not it? When did you realize that?
Ash, it took me a minute. It took me to get married in that culture, have kids under that umbrella. And then when life started breaking down, I started analyzing everything like, wait, why did I do it like this? What was the reason behind this? And that's when I was like, yeah, this whole thing, we just need to throw away and restart. So it was mid-30s.
Okay, same.
Yep.
And so do you have peak clients that come to you who are also a part of the church culture, purity culture, and now trying to navigate dating? Like, how do you help them to be able to separate their faith and beliefs around sex and love and what faith taught us from how it really works now?
From faith, how to separate your faith from your genitals. So I think, it's funny. I was on a call last week with, ironically, a group of single Christian women, right? So I was already nervous. I said, oh, Lord, because I'm not that same version no more. But the person asked me to join their group and talk to the ladies. And I said, okay. And like you just said, they have a lot of ideas that are outdated in today's dating world. I'm not saying their ideas are wrong. I'm just saying in comparison to what's happening outside, as I'm looking outside, it's a whole different landscape, right? And so I try to help women, particularly these were the women who were still holding on to those values. I said, one thing you got to consider, the reality is if you're going to be a part of that abstinence culture, which is fine, your dating pool is going to be smaller. That's just the reality, right? So you're already cutting your pool down and your chances of finding love significantly, 50, 70%. Because most men in today's world with social media, with access to pretty faces, pretty bodies, a lot of them are not going to be abstinent. And that's just the reality of it. And so go ahead.
So I have a question. Okay, yep. So just because men are not going to be acting, does that mean that women should now lower their standards?
No. I think you should stand 10 toes down on your standards, but it would be wrong for me not to tell you what that season is going to look like. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So I think everybody should live by their values and understand the implications of what that means, right? So you may be watching 13 seasons of something on Netflix for a while until he comes who shares the same values as you. And as long as you're okay with it, that's not my place to judge right or wrong. It's just my place to bring you perspective. And so I think it becomes difficult for sure. Dating and relationships are hard already. And then you're going to add that layer to it. So I just try to bring a level of clarity about realistic expectations.
That's good. Because I don't think that, I'm going to say this and I'm probably going to get in trouble. But I don't think women, and I'm a woman, right? I think sometimes we don't have realistic expectations when it comes to dating, whether we're abstinent, right, Christian or not. Like we have these expectations that we like. I think a lot of us get our dating advice from the wrong place. Like Absolutely. We get dating advice from like Instagram, social media. And what I have found is listen to social media is a surefire way to be single and probably not ever in a relationship. Right. So like, you really can't listen to social media. And also people might be saying, well, he's a man, right? Mm-hmm. He doesn't know, like, talk about women and all this other stuff. Right. You're a guy. But what I have found as a woman who has platonic relationships with men, like I have found that having someone of the opposite gender to be able to talk about things with like relationships, it's not an echo chamber of the same thing. Right. I talk to my female friends, for the most part, we kind of think the same. We think the same. We kind of share the same views. But talking to a man, you'd be like, it's different perspective. Yeah. And you can kind of see it from like, okay, like, because for example, I was dating a guy a couple years ago and something transpired and I said something to him. And then my female friends, I told the story to, that's like, yeah, girl, no, you was right. You was right, girl. He was wrong, right? Right. And then I told my best friend, one of my best friends was a guy, and he was like, you should apologize. I was like, really? Why? And he was like, yeah, that was wrong. Then I was talking to my other guy friend, and he was like, yeah, you should apologize. So neither one of the guys were in the same setting. Right. And they both came to the conclusion that I should apologize. And so I did apologize because I'm like, okay, so you're a guy. So just seeing something different helped me. It helps you be better in relationships. So I think having like male dating coaches is a good idea.
And vice versa, right? Women tell me things that I never would have thought of on my own. I'm like, oh, that perspective is gold. So I echo your sentiment. Absolutely.
Yeah. So how does one find themselves when they're trying to like date? Like, how do I find myself?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. And I think if a lot of us took the time to chew on that, we would be in better relationships. So I would say it really starts with raw authenticity, raw honesty. You really got to be honest with yourself. A lot of us lie to ourselves more than anybody else about what we really want, where we really are in life, right? So I think you have to have a good evaluation of who you are and just time and sitting with yourself, asking yourself those reflective questions like, what makes me happy for real? What do I want in a relationship? What don't I want in a relationship? You know what I mean? That can be just as valuable too.
But how do you know who you are, right? When you have been, if you're from the church, right? The church tells you who you are and what you should be and who you should be this person. You should want these things. So how do you learn who you are when you've been told that you're supposed to be this person for so long? How do you find who you truly are? Yeah. How do you learn how to decenter that and really figure out what it is that you want?
So I'll tell you how I did it, right? I had to deprogram myself. I did a lot of therapy. I read a book that was like, it was eye-opening. I think it was called The Subtle Power of Spiritual Abuse, right? The Subtle Power of Spiritual Abuse. So I just analyzed what was going on in my head. And what are the larger perspectives? What are the larger narratives or larger ideas? Is this the only way to think about it? And so once I started to I'm a nerd, I just started reading a lot. And then I came to realize my perspectives on life, the way I was programmed in that church, were very narrow. And so I was living a very narrow, vanilla life. And so I had to zoom out and and try different things and give myself permission to just live for a while. And that's when I slowly started to learn who I was, what made me happy. There's got to be something you experience. It's not an intellectual thing for me. I got to experience things to determine what's really on the inside of me.
Okay, so question. So now I'm gonna this is a little personal question. Okay.
Yep, come on with it.
So when you start to rebuild your dating standards after leaving the church after divorce, right?
Yep.
What stayed, what changed, and then what did you like throw out? Like this doesn't fit me no more.
Yeah. So what stayed is I still have a heart for people. I still value people, right? What left was after my divorce, I was outside, baby. I was fucking. So I'm just saying, I was like, here we go. And I had a lot of oats that I need to sow. So it was an exploratory time for me, honestly. Outside of the right or wrong conversation, it was a kid who grew up with a whole bunch of restraints, now free, learning this world and trying to navigate it. And so women was one of them. I remember I didn't have any game. I didn't know how to talk to women. I didn't know how. It was bad. And then when it came to sex, I was so incompatible with a lot of them in the beginning because I didn't know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. One of them told me the next morning she wanted me to. How raw is it? Can we?
We can be raw if you want to. Yeah.
Okay.
Sex with Ashley.
Oh, sex with Ashley. That's the type. Okay. No, she wanted me to eat her out, right? And at that point in my journey, I wasn't there. I was like, nah, I ain't. Mm-hmm. Next morning, Ash, I get a text. Hey, bruh, it's been real. We're not on the same page sexually. Uh-huh. That day, she created a monster because I said, you know what? Ain't not near one more woman gonna ever tell me we're not sexually compatible. So then I just dove all the way in and, from the rooter to the tutor, just trying things and learning what my appetite was, what went well, what didn't go well. So it was a lot of fucking, Ashley, to be honest. And then I learned the psychology of women. I went to therapy. I wanted a Black therapist specifically because I knew a Black woman therapist. I knew that there were areas in my life that were skewed on how I thought about relationships outside of the church. And so I wanted a Black woman because I wanted to understand what Black women go through, some of their, challenges. And so I've been working with her for, probably since COVID, since 2020. And so, yeah, that was some of my steps I took.
Okay, so I often tell people that I think people should have whole phases because, Absolutely. Like you said, I think a whole phase, you're free to do whatever you want to do, right?
Yeah.
The restraints are off. You can explore how you want to explore with whomever you want to explore with, and it's a learning period where you can learn how to talk to people, learn what you like sexually. So I personally believe that everybody, men and women included, should have a whole phase.
I agree. When did you have yours? I don't know if you already shared this.
No, so I had mine. So mine was after college. So after college, after I left like the purity cult thing, I just was like, all right, we outside. Right. And to be honest, I've kind of been outside ever since. So it's ongoing whole phase.
You got a membership. You just got a membership. Like, what we say on the call, we said we just doing market research. That's all.
I've been doing market research, since 30, 31.
Okay.
So I just kind of been outside.
Right.
And so, yes.
How has it been? Particularly the early years when you first went out, because that was the shocker for me. When I learned about Tinder, I was like, wait, niggas is swiping and right and left and just fuck? No.
So, yes. So, like, I was very much, I don't want to say a prude. That's not the correct term. But I was very reserved. I'll say that. Okay. That's the right term. So I was reserved. like, again, I grew up in the church. So, like I thought when I went to college that, sex and love coexisted all the time. So, like, if you want to have sex with me, that means you love me and we get married. Like, first guy that I had sex with, I thought we were going to be together. Like, ever. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was, then I realized, oh, this is not what that is. Right. And then after the whole thing where I was like, I'm leaving like this whole church narrative, I'm trying to find my own way, I discovered that I actually do like having sex and lots of it, right? And so I
kept doing it. doing it. Wow.
Because I liked it, and then I learned that I got into some things like, BDSM, kink of it all, and learned different things I like there. And then so I identify as someone who practices ethical non-monogamy. So I don't practice monogamy, right? Yeah. And I've been that way for the last 12 years or so, 10, 12 years. And I wrote about this in an article that I wrote about. It's also in my book. But I wrote about it because, like, one of my good male friends, who he was married at the time, I was like 28, 29. And he was like, you're not a monogamous person. I was like, what do you mean? Like, because I grew up thinking that relationships could only be one way. Right. You grow up thinking that you get married, you have one person, you do this with one person. So it took me a long time to be able to say that, you know what, I'm not this way. I am this way. And this way is totally okay.
Right.
So I think probably the last 5 years or so, I'll say, let's say 3 to 4 years, I really kind of like embraced the whole ethical non-monogamy thing of it, where I like say it out loud, like, okay, this is who I am as a person. Because before I was very much like trying to force it to be something else.
Yeah.
Because of how I grew up. So I tell people all the time, I still fight against the Ashley I was raised to be and the Ashley that I am.
Right.
So I still had this internal conflict from time to time that I still deal with even now.
That's so good. And you know what? You put in eloquently words what I actually did. I challenged my beliefs. As soon as I left that church, I challenged everything. And let me tell you, the beliefs that are going to stand are going to stand. But the shaky ones that really were hand-me-down beliefs that somebody else gave you that don't fit you in all your life, like when you said you challenged the idea of the relationship being just one person. Oh, this is just one style of relationship. I can do it my way, and they can do it their way. So that's really good. I like that.
Correct. So for someone who is newly deconstructing their dating life after leaving the church culture, what are some common mistakes that you see people make?
Oh, man. Look, what common mistakes did I make? Shit. Number one, assuming everybody has the same values as you, right? Assuming Christian meant the same thing.
Oh, that's a good one.
Look.
That's a good
because to me, when I first got out, Christian was like this holy roller. It was holier than thou, super saved. But then when I started experiencing other Christians, they may have a deep love for Jesus, but they don't have a deep love for church rules. Right. And they're still a believer. They still, right. So I had to really understand, like, oh, there's diversity in the body. Everybody is different. So that was really big. And then I had to learn how not to be so damn judgmental. I was so judgmental. I didn't even know I was wearing that judgmental cloak. It was just on me. I was like, yo, people would respond, oh, those beliefs are narrow. I would say things matter of fact, like this was the only way. Or, that was, so it was a lot of bumping up against walls, but I'm a learner. So I was trying to learn, okay, what am I doing wrong? And so that was it. It was really just examining that. It was a ride though. I'll tell you, them early years was a ride.
Yeah, it's definitely, it definitely is a ride. So what are let's talk about some green flags.
Okay.
That you think singles should look for early on?
Early on, I would say, are we talking about out of that church culture or just in general?
Anybody, just in general.
Oh, okay. I definitely say people who are open-minded. I think that's such a green flag because rigidity can kill anything. And if people are stuck in their ways, so I look for people who are open-minded to new ideas, new perspectives. So that's one. I would say somebody who has a healthy sense of self, like they know who they are. It's not, they don't have to be perfect, but they have a healthy sense and they're not relying on you to fill in the blanks, right? They're already coming to you with a healthy sense of identity. So that's good. There's less work and less pressure on a relationship. Somebody who knows how to make themselves happy. They already got a routine. They have something that they do that pours into them. Because if you don't have that, potentially they're going to be looking for you to make them happy. So not only are you responsible for yourself, you're in a relationship with somebody who is now saying, how come you didn't? How come you didn't? You supposed to know this. And it's just, again, it adds more weight to this little frail human body we got. So those are just some. I can go on, but communication, being able to identify your needs and communicate them without feeling like they should already know them, you know, having healthy communication skills, I say.
Right. And that's very important. So now we're going to go to a part of the pod where it's called like from my DM. So people DM me questions for like each guest. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So question 1 is, was it difficult for you to become sexually active from an emotional and mental place once
I left? Yeah, let me think. I don't know if it was difficult because I gave myself permission to enjoy life. I think that was the difficult part because I was living with all of these rules bouncing around in my head. Don't do this, don't do that, touch this, don't touch that. Once I got over that hurdle that I need to live and experience life, I enjoyed sex. I enjoyed travel. I enjoyed everything. But that was the major hurdle, that first piece. But no, after that, I was all the way in.
So how did you get over that hurdle? How did you be able to say, okay, it's okay for me to be able to enjoy life? God wants me to enjoy life and not feel like if I do this, I'm sinning against God. I'm going to go to hell. How did you able to do that?
I'm going to say something that's going to sound crazy. I believe in the gospel and the gospel about Jesus being enough. You know what I'm saying? Jesus really dying. If we believe what we say we believe, if his blood really covers, it's going to cover this exploratory period too. And while this is not my intent to dishonor him at all, I think I also am aware that I've been through trauma, church trauma, that has rewired me. And so now I have a limp and I have an emotional limp. And so I am doing the best I can. And a part of this best I can is learning about sex and learning about my body and learning about experiences. And I believe that Jesus is who he say he is. So he's going to forgive me, even though I'm not trying to abuse that. I'm just trying my best as a human to live. And that's just my own journey. Yep.
Come on, Saint.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
So
that's a word right there.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the truth.
All right, next question.
Yep.
What made you decide to leave, like, church?
Yeah. So that first cult stuff was so crazy. It was like a fake family. You were a part of the family as long as you ... So it was a conditional family, right? And then when I left there, and then when I saw my quote unquote family disown me, that does something to somebody, right? It makes you become more self-protective. It makes you analyze, like, why am I doing this thing again? And so while I still, obviously I'm a believer, church though still is hard for me at times because I'm always looking for the shoe to drop, the ulterior motive, or any type of message that makes me feel like I'm doing something against my will. You know, the trauma, it's the trauma of it. But I definitely encourage people who still like to go to church consistently. I think ain't nothing wrong with it. I'm going to end up in church. I enjoy it. It's a part of who I am. Yeah. But sometimes the people, I'm able to separate God from his people. I think that's ultimately what it is. I think God is God, and the church, we down here trying our best to worship him every Sunday. And sometimes we slip up and sometimes it messes up. It get messy and ugly, but that's not a reflection of him. It's a reflection of us.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. So what do you want singles listening right now to do to move closer to like real love? What can they do?
Yeah. I think they should think about that verse that says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So I think that part that we hear often is to love your neighbor, but we don't really focus on as you love yourself. That's the prerequisite. So what does loving yourself look like? And to me, when I did this exercise, it looked like not overextending myself. I was running around for everybody and their mama, tired, depleted, doing way too much. So I learned to honor my body, honor my time. Like, we're in a human frame and this thing has limitations. And so I think when you're in church, sometimes you act like you're a superhuman. Like, no, I'm tired. I'm hungry. I want to experience some things. So it's just learning how to be a human. And as funny as that sounds, learning how to enjoy life, learning what makes you happy. Because then when you meet somebody and when they already know these things about them, you can give them grace and you can honor that because you have your own areas that you love and the things that help keep you smiling because you loved yourself. We don't even love ourselves yet. And then we try and jump in relationships and control them. Like, it's all jacked up sometimes.
I saw this thing today, maybe it was yesterday, and it was basically saying how like you have to be a complete whole person. You can't really, I can't go in a relationship looking for someone to complete me and to make me happy. I have to already have that because what is Jada Pinkett Smith in the Red Table Talk.
Yep.
And she made a statement one time that I agree with. And she was saying like, will doesn't make her happy, right? Like she learned that her happiness has come from herself.
Facts.
And I think if more people did relationships like that, I think most people wouldn't be happier. And I know happy is an emotion, and emotions change by the day, but you will be like happier if you start looking for someone else to make your life happy or better.
Facts. The only point that I've heard that point of view too, I just think that you have to have enough self-love to love yourself. Like, because some people will go an extreme with that idea. They'll be like, oh, if I'm not, especially in the church, if I'm not 100% healed, I can't do relationship, right? Yeah. And I'm like, no, you got to be at a good operating level. Make sure you got enough self-love in you that you can go on about your day. There's still room for people to pour in there, but you are at a good level. You got a quarter, you got a half a tank of gas. We good. We can roll. And versus waiting for you to be this perfect person that'll never come.
Right. Yeah. So we're never perfect. So do you work with men and women or just women?
I work with men. I work with women. I work with partners, clients, couples. So, yep.
Okay. So if people were interested in learning more about your services, where could they go?
Absolutely. So they can go to www.mikespeaks2.com, MIKESPEAKS2.com, and then all my coaching packages or individual sessions, anything you want about me is there.
Okay. Yeah. So it was very nice. It was very nice to have you and to have this conversation.
Yeah, Ash. Can I get a picture? Can I do this little screenshot? I got your permission?
Sure.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Oh, I didn't do it. 3, 2, 1. Got it. Awesome.
Thanks for listening to Sex with Ashley. If you learned something today, do me a favor and send me a review and share this episode. And if you want more guidance, you can also purchase my book, Pleasure Please, available at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and wherever books are sold. Love you. Mean it. See you next week.